Hey everyone, this is Paul, and today we have a special guest with us, Mr. Mike Gospe. He is a co-founder and principal of Kickstart Alliance. So Mike, I would like to welcome you to this interview, and I'm really, I would like to thank you for your time. So if you can just tell me something about yourself to my viewers and a little bit about your company, please.
Thank you so much for having me. So I am the co-founder of Kickstart Alliance. We are a customer success and customer advisory board consulting team. And what that means is we help bring CEOs and executive teams closer to their best customers so they can learn how to listen and based on that listening, learn how to make better business decisions.
Oh, that's great. So there'll be a lot of learning from you today, and obviously my viewers are going to get benefit out of it. So first, let me introduce myself to you and my company. My name is Paul. I have been working in Xfinity Solution for about 3 years now, but I have about 10 years of industry experience. So a little bit of Xfinity Solution. Xfinity Solution is a IT and ITS service provider, and we are also working in virtual assistant space. So we provide end-to-end virtual assistants to different business houses. Mostly our clients are from US and Canada. So this is about Xfinity Solution. Now, let me tell you the objective of this survey. So as I probably told you and my viewers know, I've been interviewing business owners and professionals across industries to understand how they, through their leadership skills, are combating this situation and what is their future prediction of the economy and what are the strategies which the business houses and government should implement to recover from this economic downturn. So this survey report will be circulated among all the interviewees, and we have got and this will be published in our annual report. And we have got stupendous response from several brands and corporates, and I'm looking forward to learn a lot from you as well. So now let me start with the survey. If you're ready, I'll start asking you the questions. All right.
Absolutely.
All right, Mike. So, Mike, my first question would be: have you ever faced any such time as this before?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And yes, we have. Our business, we've been in business since 2002. In fact, we started Kickstart Alliance right after 9/11. And
Oh,
so what happened in 9/11, and then of course the Great Recession that happened in 2008 and 2009, the way that the businesses dealt with those is very similar to the way businesses are dealing with COVID-19. Now, of course, COVID-19 is different, and there are much more dire consequences. However, there are similarities in that after 9/11 and after 2008 and in February and March when COVID-19 hit, a lot of businesses decided to pull back from their customer visibility. Marketing budgets were cut. Sales staff was cut. It was not unusual to find companies that would say, you know what, we're going to cut back on expenses. We're going to scale back. We're going to ride this out, and then we'll re-engage when times get better. Now, the lesson that I learned from 9/11 or 2002, right, after recovery of 9/11 and 2008, 2009, not all companies did that strategy, right? A lot of companies said, I'm scaling back, but some didn't. Some decided to keep their lifeline with their customers and partners going, even if just in a small way, keeping that conversation going, finding out how their customers were doing, how they're responding. And those companies that kept the dialogue going with their customers did better when times got better. So,
yeah,
and a lot of that, I think, comes to a trust issue. It's easy to behave with good behavior when times are good with their customers. It's more important to engage when times are bad. And so we're
absolutely.
seeing some of the similarities play out now.
All right. So that has somewhat helped you during this testing time because you've already learned a lot more things from those experiences. So that's great. So obviously you've already talked about it, but then again, I'm going to ask you: is your business seriously affected by this pandemic?
Oh, absolutely. And we like many other businesses, were hit very, very hard.
Yeah.
So the bulk of our business deals with having face-to-face conversations with customers. I mean, I myself am a professional facilitator of customer advisory boards and partner advisory boards.
All right.
And when travel is cut and when, you know, you have to implement social distancing, first of all, nobody's traveling. Now, very few people are traveling. Any of the meetings that would happen at events or, you know, at a 5-star hotel, you get a dozen customers to fly in for a special meeting. Obviously, those face-to-face meetings aren't happening anymore.
Exactly.
So what we had to do was to pivot our business to say, how can we help our clients have those conversations when you have to do them virtually? And
Yeah.
doing them over Zoom or some other online tool is very different than doing it in face-to-face. And so we've,
Absolutely.
to be perfectly candid with you, in February, I would say 95% of our business either canceled or postponed. It was a huge hit.
Huge.
So that led us to rethink, well, what does a virtual model look like? And I started to think carefully about this, and I actually architected what an entire virtual program would be to replace what the face-to-face program was. And I started to write about it, and I was doing lots of blogs and video conversations like what you and I are having today.
All right.
And in time, I'd say maybe in April and March, when it looked like COVID-19 was going to go on longer than we had thought, companies are coming to grips to say, you know what, we need to have this conversation with our customers and partners going, how can we do that? And our business started to pick up again, but to pick up in a different way. And now this virtual engagement model. So, you know, like many companies, we had to rethink what we do and why we do it and how we can be of service. So business today looks very different than it did in January of 2020.
Absolutely.
And no doubt, I think in January 2021, it's going to look different again.
Different from now, obviously.
Different from now, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, you have to, like everyone says, you have to. The change is something which is new normal now, and it is changing every time. And we are experiencing things, and maybe we learned a lot from this. So that's great. So obviously, you've talked about the challenges, and I just need to understand. So my next question would be: do you see? Obviously, you see challenges in future, and how are you preparing for that? And what are the challenges you see? Yes, if you can just tell my viewers.
Well, yeah. So I think some of the challenges, and I think these challenges are going to continue. Let's take travel and flying. I don't think business travel is going to come back to January 2020 levels for probably several years. In fact, I was talking to a colleague of mine up in Canada, and the Canadian government is kind of setting expectations that they don't see business travel resuming to those levels for another 3 years.
Oh.
So that has a huge impact. And because of that, to prepare for the future, I think the number one lesson to prepare is to be flexible and to be open to understanding what the new needs are from customers, from our clients, and what we can now do to be of service. Because the world has changed completely, and it's not going to go back, you know, it's like, oh, it's Monday, we're going back to January. It's like, no, I think that's going to happen. I think social distancing is going to continue.
Right.
A lot of our clients, and I'm sure a lot of people listening to this, are already working from home. Working from home is now the new normal. And, you know, I think to the surprise of many, we're proving how productive we can all be. So that means office space is going to be rethought, and that has implications for, well, what's the impact on cities, on downtowns, right? And then so you can expand, you know, the dominoes will fall to say, well, the implications kind of reach out far beyond that. But what can you do to think? I think the number one lesson that I've learned is I need to let go of what expectations I had in 2019. And flexibility, as I mentioned before, is the key. We need to be open, and we as business owners and business leaders needs to be open into what problems can we help solve, and how can we solve those problems? How can we use the skill sets, the resources, the assets that we as a business? And we have to ask ourselves some hard questions. Do these assets play equally in today's world? Do they not play at all? And is there some other way I can use the tools, resources, and experience to help clients, do better with what you're doing? So I'll give you an example. What I'm seeing, because I interview a lot of business leaders across industries,
That's
a
great.
lot of
Yeah.
companies are giving away things for free. Now,
Yeah.
they're doing this, I believe, because of a deep sense of empathy for what they see happening in the world around us. And when they see one of their customers struggling, and the customer, maybe their business has been impacted hard. Let's take companies in real estate, hospitality, or the restaurant
Yep.
business. They have huge needs, but they don't have a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Because their clients have pulled back. What I'm seeing some of my clients and some of the companies I'm proud to be working with doing is they're seeing that need and they're stepping forward to say, what can we do to help? What can we help you? Don't worry about the money. Do you need some additional professional services? Let me provide you some consultation, some guidance. Let me try to help you, maybe in just a small way, move forward. And that, that bit of, paying it forward, I think will help when times get better, and they will get better. And those companies are going to remember the helping hand that
Yeah.
companies put forward. And then, then money is going to come. So I think that's a mindset that I've certainly learned. I've seen it before. I'm seeing it now. And it's much more, right? The conditions we have are much more dire now. But I think those lessons still apply. And so that's one of the things that I'm learning. And some of the challenges my team and I are embracing are flexibility, catering to the need, trying to be more empathetic to what our customers are going through, and finding small ways to be of service.
Oh, that's great. That is something which is really, I mean, we have been interviewing a lot of people, but this is empathical thing has been raised by you only. And you're absolutely right in this. If you're helping each other during this time, that is really going to give us a lot more when things will get normal.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. So this is a great learning for all of my viewers, and obviously you can get some advice from Mike, so you can implement these things and you can prepare for the challenges. My next question would be, it is quite obvious, but then again I'm asking you, and I need to understand your take on this. So in industries related to or connected to IT domain operations, directly or indirectly, have managed to sustain this pandemic. So what's your thought on this, and what do you think?
Yeah, you know what, boy, this became pretty obvious early on. Any company that was dealing with anything related to e-commerce or digital transformation saw, in fact, their business grow during the first half of 2020. So the way that it's been explained to me from some of the companies I talk with, is that their customers, right? So we service business to business. So
Okay.
I'm talking to a big manufacturer, IT security provider, or hardware, software of computers, or various IT related stuff. And they're selling to various end industry
End
end
customers.
consumers.
Yeah.
So what they would say is, let's take companies in retail. Boy, the push to get that website up and to get, more comprehensive in what they're selling online and to grow geographically, those programs got accelerated. In fact, an e-commerce program might be sketched out to take 3 to 5 years to implement in full. But now, because of COVID, they're forced to push it within 18 months. I heard this
Oh.
yesterday from a
Oh,
client.
wow.
So those businesses that were in the IT industry and those individuals who work in IT departments are seeing a lot more energy. I mean, their job is safe, right? This is the sweet spot where companies are investing right now. But
Actually.
you know what? We live in a world that has have and have nots, and have companies who have been lucky and companies who have not been lucky. So let's take the
All
flip
right.
side. Anybody who's in restaurant, I've got clients of mine who service the hotel hospitality industry. I've got clients that do, they supply parts and manufacturing equipment to big chain restaurants and eateries. They're hurt incredibly hard. So the hit is not equal. Now, So the first half of the year, anybody doing e-commerce saw their business, it dipped a little, but then it has kind of come back. And for the most part, it's on track, at least to, well, let me take a step back. Many companies were projecting 2020 to be a dynamically growth year. And nobody is seeing the 35% or more growth that they were originally forecasting in December 2019 or January 2020. Nobody is seeing that. Unless you're Netflix, Zoom, or Amazon or Apple, right? Take them out of the equation.
Of course.
But what those IT companies are telling me is it's not unusual for them to say, you know what, we're seeing 20% growth in what we're doing. And that's because of what I described. However, and this is a big however, everybody is concerned about what Q3 and Q4 is going to bring, because that kind of growth is not sustainable. And what I'm starting to see now, and some people are starting to pay attention to, is what is the economic fallout of people now, white collar people, maybe being laid off from their jobs. What's that going to do to fuel the industry as well? So IT operations is going to continue to grow. At what pace, who knows? But so far they've been a safe place to put investment for now.
Awesome. There's a lot of learning from you on this. So, and now my next question would be on a macro level. It is, so how do you see the economy in the near future, economy of the United States?
Yeah. So
and how is when it's going to come back on track? And
right. So first, let me say, my crystal ball is no better than anybody else's. However, I want to echo in a couple of points that folks like Robert Reich and other really well-known business leaders, political analysts are talking about. The economy is not the stock market. And the United States stock market is just gone nuts. I mean, it seems totally disconnected from the pandemic, from the job losses that we've never seen before. So it's very clear, even though some business leaders might think, life is good because my stock portfolio is going up. Well, you're part of the 1%.
Actually, we've heard this. I've been interviewing business owners, and they're saying the stock market is good. So why do you think the economy is not doing well? So you're absolutely spot on. Yeah.
So this is short-sighted, unempathetic thinking. So, okay, congratulations, your stock portfolio is doing well. But again, we live with the have and have-nots. Only a small proportion of the population, in the US and certainly global, is invested in the stock market. Most people aren't. So let's take the unprecedented job losses that we've had, the claimings for unemployment. And that number continues to grow. Some people are saying, well, it's starting to come down, but it's still huge. The government has so far not been able to get its act together to offer a second stimulus package to people who've lost jobs. And I'm thinking about the restaurant owners, the small business owners who've not yet been able to bring their business back. I'm going to get the statistic wrong, but I think, a huge portion, 80% of gross domestic product from the US is driven by small businesses. Well, these small businesses
actually
are losing their jobs. Their clients are coming back. And so they were the first people to kind of file for unemployment. Now think of the food chain of what happens when those people cannot buy products or services from anybody else. It will impact other industries, even other high-tech B2B industries, right? If there's not enough demand for it, then their business is going to suffer. And we're starting to see some of that now. In fact, in the headlines, there have been some companies who are now saying that they're going to have to lay off white-collar jobs or put people up for voluntary retirement. This is not a good sign. So
Absolutely.
If that happens, and we're seeing the signs of that already, my prediction of 2021 is it's going to be a very rough year. It's not going to be a back to wild growth on this. I think we're going to be dealing with the implications of the layoffs, of the slowdown of the industries, of the mass distribution of the inequality around various industries. That's going to be with us for, unfortunately, for a long time. I think it's going to make 2021 a very tough year for many.
Yeah, so consumer spending is going to see a dip in 2021, as we have already seen it, and this is going to be a rough year for us. And obviously, 2020 will have some after effect, and we can see it in 2021. So, do you really think that by 20, or when do you see the economy is going to back on track, and how much time do you think it's going to take?
Oh
Obviously, it's going to
boy,
be
no. So this is the big question, right? I mean, so my opinion doesn't matter to anybody, but I'll tell you what I
still,
think on
yeah,
that. I think there are several factors that need to play out. One is, historically, if you take any year in the United States that deals with a presidential election, any year, Republican or Democrat, the year of the election, especially September, October, November, vast uncertainty in the market and the economy. I mean, things
absolutely,
kind of go haywire for that anyway. So
exactly.
I think the election needs to get over one way or the other. I'm going to keep my political notes aside from this, but the election brings uncertainty. Uncertainty is not good for the market inflects the economy, et cetera. So that's one piece that has to come out of it. The other piece is that there's some really hard questions that we as a country have to figure out, one of which is this huge inequality across industries. And what's happening to the middle class is huge. The middle class is shrinking, and yet the middle class drives a lot of the economy. We've talked about the unemployment kind of going. We need time to recover from that. Now, I'm hopeful that, let's say by the middle of 2021, there'll be signs of recovery. And of course, the third unknown is what's going on with COVID. Will there be a vaccine? Will people want to take the vaccine? Will the vaccine actually work? And that's not a U.S. problem. Yes, it's big in the U.S. That's a global problem.
That's a global problem,
So we need to have positive progress on those three fronts. And once that, because that creates a lot of fog. And when the fog settles, when people start to feel confident, because it comes down to a personal confidence. Do I feel confident that I can go out and eat at a restaurant today? Do I feel confident like I'm going to buy a car or something?
Exactly.
Right now, then I think you're going to see signs of improvement. Right? Hopefully, we won't have to wait too long. But one of the things we saw in 2008, and I don't want to add doom and gloom, but I want to add a dose of reality. 2008, the global recession, the general big recession that hit the United States because of the mortgage meltdown crisis. What we saw as far as personal incomes over the 10 years that followed, it took 10 years to kind of come back from that. And many of us looked at that as kind of a lost decade, especially if you think about the college seniors who graduated in 2008 and they were unable to join the workforce because nobody was hiring. It's a lost decade. I fear we could be looking at another lost decade. So what's the positive out of this? I think we need to look at what's happening with open eyes, with an unbiased, logical look at how all the pieces of the economy, how we really are a global set of people, not countries or businesses fighting each other. And if we can kind of look at that with a newfound sound of empathy, where our job as business leaders is to be of service. Yes. How can we help people be better, deliver what they're trying to do, to deliver value? It's not about making profits. You know what? Money will come. One of the things I'm telling a lot of business owners is, what if for the rest of 2020, your only customers this year are your current customers? In other words, you're not going to get anybody new because nobody's hiring. The customers you have are the people that you already have on contract. What are you going to do differently with them to be of service, to be of value, to help them grow? Because they're the foundation of where your future business is coming from. When you look at business through that lens, I think business leaders will find that they're different priorities they're going to have, and there are different things that they're going to want to do, which is going to help their customers and will help protect their business so they can ride this out. Whether times get better next year or we have to wait 10 years to fully come out of, the situation we're in now. We're in it for the long haul. I think my last message to you is I am completely passionate, and I believe in the power of humans working together to help the betterment of the world, to help the betterment of each other. I think more business value and money can come and be rewarded through that kind of thinking than being isolationist and trying to gouge customers, make a quick buck when it hurts other people. I mean, so be flexible, be empathetic. The more value provide, business leaders will be rewarded. Again, I saw this in 2001. I experienced it in 2008. I think the same thing is happening today. So I do have some hope. But it's a different world, and we have to acknowledge that.
Absolutely. So we need to wait some more time to get the business on track, or get the economy on track. But then during this tough time, we need to help each other. We need to be more empathetic, and we need to look for a better future. That's great. So my next question to you, it's not a question again, it is a kind of an advice, or where your business, where do you think your company Kickstart Alliance can help my viewers during this testing time, and what are the areas you can help them?
So I think that's a great question, and I appreciate your asking. I think one of the things that I've done personally is I've tried to capture a bunch of best practices from a marketing and from a business perspective, and to share those best practices broadly. So what I've done is I've done a lot of writing, and I've written several books, and I've created some online courses to help business owners and business leaders kind of think strategically about how they go to market. And even though I wrote those books earlier, the lessons apply really well today. So one of those books, for example, is called The Marketing High Ground. And the marketing high ground is about this notion of whoever understands the customer best wins. And so if you go to our website, which is www.kickstartall.com, and you click on the resources tab, you'll find where you can get access to those books. They're available on Amazon, or we've got some online courses on go-to-market strategy that's available through Udemy. These are very low-cost items, but really good value. We're seeing a lot of people interested in those results, or those pieces of information, those resources. And of course, we've got a bunch of other learnings and best practices on the website. And of course, if anybody has a specific question they'd like to ask me based on what we've talked about, you can access me through through Kickstart, through the contact page. And that's probably the easiest way. And you can learn more about our business as well.
That's great. So I'm going to share Mike's details and the company details with the video, and you can go to the website and you can search for this. So this was really nice, Mike. And my next question, or rather my next statement, and I need to understand your view on this as well. So it is a study says that keeping a remote executive assistant or a virtual assistant during this testing time can save your money and time, and can help you grow your business even faster. So it's like hiring a team of a price of a fractional employee. So what do you think on this? What's your take on this?
So if I understand your question right, about hiring a virtual assistant to kind of help you in your business, I think that's a really interesting point. We don't use virtual assistants. I mean, we run a small business. There are five of us on our team, so we kind of run our own. So I don't know. I could see value in that, of course, but I can't speak to that personally because I've never used one.
I understand. So I'm just giving just to give you an idea. Virtual assistant is somebody who will be working for you at a virtual space, and he or she will be helping you with your back-end work. I mean, so that you can focus more on your frontline business. So it's kind of, any sort of a work, email management, data entry, or internet research, or if you want some documents to be drafted, like even if you're talking about website development, anything, just name anything which is needed to run a business at the back end will be taken
Yeah.
care by a
Oh,
virtual assistant.
no, I
And
think that's a good idea. And
so
we do, I mean, I should be clear, we do outsource kind of our website
yeah,
management and production. So we use them, I wouldn't call them virtual assistants, but highly value, when skill sets are not strategic in your critical job of doing your bob, they're very important from running your back end and keeping your business up. But as a business leader, you want to be on the forefront of that and not worried about the back end stuff. And
yeah,
so hiring
exactly.
virtual assistants, outsourcing makes a ton of sense.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's great. So it was great learning, and I would like to thank you, Mike, for your time. And this was really insightful and educative. Your views
My
will really
pleasure.
add a lot of values to our survey, and my viewers will learn a lot from your insights and your advices. And that's great. So I wish you all the best, and I hope
Thank
you have
you.
already survived through some tough times, and this time also you're surviving, and you are going to get back on track soon, or we all of we will going to get back
Well,
soon.
thank you very much. And it
So
was a pleasure to join you today. So thank you very much.
thanks a lot. Okay, have a nice day ahead. Bye bye.
Thank you.